Tim McClung, Arthur Monologues, June 2nd, 2020. Let's talk about this current crisis, this protesting and rioting and burning and killing and damaging and beating and all the other nonsense going on. Let's talk about that for a minute. Let me be clear. Let me be very clear. I do not condone violence. I abhor violence. In my lifetime, I have avoided violence. I haven't participated in any riots. I haven't participated in any gangland kind of beating up people thingy. In fact, back in the 60s, early 70s, I was opposed to the violence committed by the United States government and its military against, say, who was it? Vietnamese people? So opposed to violence in that case. The criminal behavior of the United States government and its military against the Vietnamese people. I was so upset by that I did not go anywhere near a military base or a recruiting station because I might have been prone to, say nasty things out loud. I did participate in some protests on an individual basis. I was drafted more than once, and each time I said, hell no. I'm not going to participate in a criminal act. I'm not going to participate in a crime against humanity. I'm not going to go to a foreign country illegally. And following orders is no excuse. You have a conscience, you have a brain, you have a decency as a human being. You don't do that. You say, no, it's wrong. I'm not doing it. And fortunately, in America at the time, during the Vietnam War, there were a lot of people who said, hell no, and we're not going to go, and we're not going to participate in that, and we're not going to support it. In fact, we're going to do whatever we can not to support it. And we're going to take some actions, perhaps, to get your attention, Mr. Government, and, we're not going to let you just do this and get away with it. Now, there were some people that took some action. As I recall, there were people that put, threw blood on airplanes and stuff. It might have not been real blood. It might have been just paint. At any rate, the situation being what it was, I just couldn't accept I just couldn't participate in that crime because in the first place, it was an illegal act to invade a foreign country. It was an illegal act and a crime against humanity to drop bombs on the people in that country. And there is no excuse. There is no defense of this behavior. The government committed crimes against humanity. War crimes. This is not debatable. This is a fact of history. And anybody that was alive at that time and had a brain knows this. This is not negotiable. Now, I know there's a lot of people still alive that were drafted, that went into the military, that went to Vietnam, went over there and did terrible things. And they are coming back and we're a veteran and, we fought to defend America and freedom and all that bullshit. No, you didn't. You went to a foreign country, which is a crime. You're an invader, and you committed crimes against humanity by killing those people. You dropped bombs on their villages, napalm, It's unbelievable what human beings do. And there's all kind of excuses, all kind of reasons, all kind of, it's just absolute redneck bullshit. I've even heard Christians, people who claim to be, devout Christians, who still, at this time, at this point in time, even now, knowing what we know, will claim to be I'm a Christian, I love God and Jesus and all that stuff, and then say, yeah, I went to Vietnam and murdered some people. Really? They didn't say that because I was defending freedom. No, you weren't. You don't defend freedom by going to foreign countries and murdering villagers. It's despicable. And you did that. You had a choice. No, I was drafted. Yeah, I was drafted more than once. Did I go? No. Now there were some people that were, pussyfoots, and they went off to Canada and probably a few other places to hide, to avoid being held accountable and face their enemy, the government of this country. And yeah, you're a redneck if you think that that's a wrong thing, because I'm sorry, but you're wrong. You're a redneck fucker and you're an idiot. And if you can't see why I say that, then you're dumber than I think. Vietnam was a crime from beginning to end. And you know what? I think it was Lyndon Baines Johnson's responsibility. He did it. He started it. He did it. He got involved in it. I know there was some a little bit of that going on when Kennedy was president, but he said, I'm going to stop that. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And of course, because he said, oh no, we're going to do away with the, break up the CIA. We're going to stop doing this, stop doing that. Not going to do that. We're going to do this. And then, they killed him. I'm fairly certain that it was the CIA and related criminals. I think George Bush Sr. was in Dallas on that day. I'm sorry, grassy knoll, blah, blah, blah. Now there's conspiracy theories involved with that, so I don't want to get into that. But the problem is that we have, I'm sorry, I've got these, just my microphones a little bit. So the thing is, this happened then. I was a teenager in the 60s. And I grew to manhood in the late 60s and early 70s. And I wouldn't go because I knew it was wrong and I absolutely refused to go. So when I was drafted and I went to they took me to the testing center over there on the Gaston Avenue, and it was like, yeah, you're going to take a test. And I walked in and I stayed, went out to the desk sergeant guy, whatever he was, and I told him straight to his face, I intend to refuse induction into the United States military. And he said, without even looking up, pointed his finger, his hand, and arm into a room. In there, please. And I went there, and they give us a test, kind of an IQ test, to see if we're like smart. Well, I didn't really participate in that too much. I didn't try my best on that one because I didn't. See, the thing is, I actually did that. I actually went in and took the test, which is, I don't know, an hour long or something. Why I did that, I don't know. I shouldn't have. I should have stood my ground when I told him I'm not going to do this, and I should have not done that. And then he said, in that room, and I said, kiss my ass, I'm not going. I should have. So I have some regrets on the limits I placed on myself and what I would do or wouldn't do in order to express my anger and my disgust with the criminals engaging in this criminal enterprise of war against the Vietnamese people. It's absolutely despicable. But I had a choice. And even though the government said to me at some point, we can arrest you, we can put you in prison for 5 years. And I said, fuck you, try it. Go for it. come and get me. You know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be at home. Oh, by the way, cha-ching, got guns. You wouldn't kill for America? You wouldn't kill for your country? I said, yeah, I will defend my country. I will defend freedom. I will defend my rights. I will defend me and my family and my neighbors. I will defend the Constitution to the death. Not mine. Get that? I will defend freedom to the death. Not mine. Not my death. You understand? And I took an oath. And that oath began something in the nature of, I swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I took that oath knowing full well. And I accepted that because I didn't object to taking the oath. But I didn't realize at the time I was actually taking it that at the end of that they were going to say, okay, you're now in the military. So they kind of tricked me there. Because they're bastards and that's what they do. So I took the oath. So I took it. And an oath is an oath. And so help me. I remember at the end of that, they said, so help you God. I said, so help me. Because, even then I was an atheist and didn't believe in God. There was no God then and there's no God now, and that's another story. But I took the oath, so help me. Meaning, I stand on my honor. I will protect the Constitution and defend it against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Mostly domestic nowadays, because for the past 50, 60 years or so, it's been all about domestic. Because the presidents and the senators and all these lawmakers and governors and so on are all criminals. Supreme Court even, they rule 5-4. How obviously corrupt is that? So that's another story. So here's the thing. I didn't go. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go now. I wouldn't go to Iraq or Afghanistan or any of those other countries we've invaded. Not we. I haven't. But the United States military and its pawns, I can't even put a word to these people. They're unbelievable. Unbelievable. And anyway, the point is, I had a choice. I had a moral choice. Well, and today I would say an ethical choice. The word moral and morality has been tainted by the Christian crap. So morality is irrelevant nowadays. You've turned the word into a Christian word and it's just irrelevant. Secular moralism, which is ethics, which is decent human behavior. Whereas you don't harm other people. You don't violate their rights. You don't violate their freedom. You don't take away their existence, their life, and so on. You don't subject them to oppression, such as the United States government and most state governments and local governments have been doing for decades. So anyway, let's move on to another way of looking at this, another aspect of this. When I refused to participate, and I even applied for conscientious objector because I conscientiously objected to being drafted because that's involuntary servitude. I'm pretty sure it's in the Constitution, the one that I swore to protect and defend and make sure the government obeyed as best I can as one individual. And hey, involuntary servitude, not doing it. And I was pretty certain at that point, being the independent and fierce individualist that I am and was, I pretty much knew that I could not participate in any kind of military environment. I mean, in the first place, they send you to boot camp. How long am I going to last there? About 5 minutes. Because when somebody gives me an order and I say, fuck you, you don't tell me what to do, bastard. You're not the boss of me. I'm free. So no, I wouldn't do that, and that would, obviously I'd get in trouble. I figured the best way to deal with that was don't put myself in that situation. I know a lot of people went, they were drafted, and they were cowards. I'm sorry. That's the definition of a coward, is when you do something that is wrong and you know it's wrong and you do it anyway. You know it's wrong to murder people. You know it's wrong to invade foreign countries. I'm sure you read somewhere in your high school classes, civics class, for example, don't violate other people. Don't invade foreign countries. That's a crime. And it's unethical. And yet the United States government does it all the time. Every day, as far as I know, every day since I was born. Fortunately, I was born just a little bit after World War II, so I won't get into that. I haven't personally experienced or lived through the World War II situation in years. So I won't talk about that here at this point. So here's the thing. And here's the thing that bothers me. You had a choice. So you Vietnam vets, they get mad at me because I tell them the truth, because I'm a blatant truth teller. And you don't like it, guess there's something wrong with you, because I'm right, and you know I'm right, unless you're like brain damaged. And there are people that actually suggest that we should not be in the United Nations because the United Nations has a rule, sort of like an international law kind of thing, that says you don't invade foreign countries, without provocation. And guess what? Vietnam did not provocate anybody. Ever. No, none. Zip, zero, zilch, nada. Oh yeah, well, we got to protect America from freedoms and stuff from these Vietnamese peons that just living in grass huts and shit. Oh yeah, they didn't even have an airplane. To my knowledge, the Vietnamese didn't even have airplanes. They certainly didn't have battleships. How could they get here? How were they going to hurt us in America? Why would they come and invade this country? You know, how long would they last if they came to the shores of America, like Florida or somewhere, California, and said, "Hey, we're invading you. We're going to start shooting you people indiscriminately, like the Americans do, and just shoot everybody." How long would they last? Pretty sure Americans that have guns would, be standing out on their front porches saying, "Don't think so." And yet we get mad and somehow or another denigrate people like in a foreign country that defend their homes and their freedom and their country and their families, their very lives, from foreign invaders, U.S. government and military. If you can't comprehend how wrong that is, that America can go to a foreign country and murder those fucking people. Oops, you know what I mean. It's just absolutely despicable. And if you can't comprehend how wrong that is, then you're brain dead. Seriously, brain fucking dead. I'm a Vietnam vet. Well, sorry. War criminal. Because you did what you did. You know what you were doing, you did it. You know it was wrong, you did it anyway. The rules of law, international law. No, you don't do that. And somehow or another they did it, and the United Nations didn't come down on them like a fucking sledgehammer and whack. No, you're not. Presidents did that. Presidents ordered that and supported that and continued to support that for years. And the United Nations didn't say, "Hey, you're a criminal, Mr. President." Lyndon Johnson, for example, drag him off to to court. Don't understand that. You commit a crime, international police should arrest you, put you in fucking prison. You commit murder, bam, death penalty. So every president since World War II, I won't even get into this Truman dropping a bomb on these Japanese people. I mean, that was a bullshit. It was absolute total bullshit. That was mass murder with a weapon of mass destruction. Unbelievable. Harry Truman, saved lives. No, it didn't. Murdered millions. Eventually. Radioactive poisoning and all that shit. So I'm sorry if you don't get it. If your brain is so damaged that you don't get it, I have no sympathy for you. I'm sorry. I'm not the smartest man in the world. Close. No, not even close. But I get it. And if I can get it, you can get it. Don't go to foreign countries and murder people. It's a crime. In fact, it's a capital crime, and you die for doing shit like that. Ask any Nazi that was caught and tracked down after the war, and the Germans and so on. Hey, Nazis, bingo, war crimes. You're going to die. So you understand what I'm saying? Don't be an idiot, and don't pretend that you're not an idiot. Don't come to me and I'm all mad at you because you hate American shit. That is unbelievably insulting. Not just to me, but the very concept of America, where we don't murder people. Yeah, I know, murdering people is a thing in America. I'll make it clear here, buddy. Listen to me carefully. I've never murdered anyone. Ever. Not ever. And, if I'm lucky, I'll get through my whole life, and I can say that, on my deathbed. I've never murdered anyone. Never. I've never even beat up anyone. To my knowledge, I've never hit anyone. Now, there's some personal thing here about spanking some girls, but that's beside the point. Whoops. Anyway, I'm not ashamed of that. It's fun. I won't get into that here. I'll get into it later. Another show. Just drop that little in there. Just a footnote to remember that later. Anyhow, no. Never hit anyone. Never beat anyone up. Never did any of that kind of shit. I never participated in a riot. Never been a part of a mob. And how anybody can actually be a part of a riot or a mob and steal stuff out of stores and burn buildings down and shit. That's just unbelievable. I was at Baltimore not too long after that riot went on down there, and all these buildings got burned down. It was terrible what they did to that town. Certain sections of it. Scared the bejeebies out of me because I walked through a certain neighborhood that was predominantly brown Americans. I won't get into the black-brown thing here, but I will later, another time. For the sake of, I'm not going to call them African Americans because most of these people, just practically all of these people never lived in Africa. You can't be an African if you've never been in Africa. Give it a break. So anyway, this riot thing, never did that. Never participated in anything like that. I did attend the Poor People's Campaign in Washington, D.C. back in the 68, 9, somewhere in there. And to be honest with you, I didn't go to any of the street rallies or any of the protests that I didn't march on the streets or anything. I just didn't. I went, but I didn't, that wasn't my purpose in being there. I was there and I did what I had to do. But no violence and so on. So let me talk here about this riot thing and so on. I'd like to see some restraint on the part of the government agents, as well as no more rubber bullets, no more tear gas, no more arrests of innocent people who were protesting the oppression and violence against them and their people. That means our people, but, shall we say black people. Or any people in America for that matter. No more shooting innocent people with rubber bullets, paint guns, etc., while these people stand on their own porches, minding their own business, pretty much. That's a crime, and those people responsible should be arrested and charged. I would hope that people would exercise their human rights of self-protection, self-defense, and present a living force against looters and other violent acts against them and their property, and that's what guns are for. And if you don't have a gun, you probably live in a state that is not free. You know what? The Constitution says clearly, not disputable, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that means all 60,000 laws right now against guns are illegal. But that's another show also. Just keep that in mind. All right? So we need to form a line between us and our freedom and the bad guys. In this case, the government and the criminals that are doing this rioting and burning and, that terrorism. We need to stand between us, between the good people and those who wish to do us harm. In this case, mostly the government. And that means, whether it be rioters or arsons or government criminals. And I'm calling for an armed revolt. Yes, I'm not shy about it. However, I don't think that's going to happen now. But I am calling for the government to come to the table and admit it is and has been wrong for these many years. I'm calling for the government to surrender and negotiate for terms of peace. First off, the government must rein in the police departments and hold accountable those criminals in uniform and public office who have harmed Americans, no exceptions. Second, we must hold the looters, arsonists, and others who have caused damage to our cities and businesses and the people to account. We need to do this. The government cannot be trusted to bring justice to the table. Is anybody making an effort to negotiate here with the protesters? Is anybody making an effort to say, we'll come to the table. We'll come to the table with honesty and sincerity, and we'll sit down, and we will discuss your grievances, and we will address those grievances, and we will fix this problem once and for all. Do you hear that from anybody? No. I'm quite sure protesters would be happy to hear that from the government that is oppressing them, and at the moment shooting them with rubber bullets and tear gas and other weapons of mass destruction. Gassing our own people. Really? That is just unbelievable. But it's going on, and it's been going on. It's not the first time, probably won't be the last time. But it is time that we take advantage of this latest uprising, and address the problems once and for all. And how we do that? How would we address that? Oh, ironically, police engaging in police brutality against people protesting police brutality. Police riot across America. I saw that headline today. Police are rioting. They're engaging in police brutality against the very people that are protesting police brutality. Is that ironic or what? That has to stop. Then we have a president, a fucking lunatic, who threatens to shoot people or have his goons go and shoot people, to call out the military to put down the protests. Still not addressing the problem, are you, Mr. President? You're just threatening people like a fucking goon, like a dictator, like a tyrant, like a bully. I can't believe this piece of shit is still president. I can't even believe he has ever been president. In my mind, he's occupying the White House. The criminal. And I can't believe, I honestly cannot believe that the American people are putting up with this. It's unbelievable. And yet we are so divided. And as we look at the divide, we see that there are people on both sides that are just idiots. Because nobody's addressing the problem. Even though we are complaining about the problem, we're protesting about the problem, but who's going to fix the problem? Why don't we call the government to, come to the table, we'll talk, we'll sit down, we'll discuss it, and here's what we want, here's our demands, here's what you're going to do, Mr. Government. You're going to stop shooting us. You're going to stop roughing us up. You're going to stop pulling us out of our cars. You're going to stop putting us in jail for victimless crimes. And you know what those are. You're going to stop putting people in jail for having a weed, a plant. We're going to stop putting people in jail for having sex because, that's nature. That's what people do. We're going to just do away with all. These are demands that the people of this country should be doing right now, making these demands to these people, the government, and saying, here's what you're going to do, or we're going to just keep on protesting. Day in, day out, until you stop doing this criminal behavior. Until you stop doing what you're doing to us. Until you stop shooting us in the streets. That's the way to solve this problem. When the people say to these thugs, no, you're not going to get away with this anymore. All the policemen in this country are going to step down. And in order to become a policeman again, one, you're going to have a background check. You're going to have to take a test to see that if you're a redneck, to see if you are actually a person that would commit a crime against human citizens. And if you can't pass the test, you're not going to be a cop. And if you've committed a crime in any time in your career as a police officer, any crime, hit someone, beat someone, tasered someone, shot someone, put a knee on their neck, you're going to jail. However many there are in this country, all of them. And if you're a cop, you're a part of that club. You're a part of that criminal gang. Because there is no cop that has not committed a crime. The very fact that you're a cop means you either directly or indirectly participated in arresting people for possessing a drug, a marijuana. That's a crime. For a cop to do that, that's a crime. Because freedom. It's time to end this nonsense. It's time to end this insanity. And the time to do it is now, when we've got your attention. Do it now. Keep protesting. Day in and day out and day in and day out. Until the government comes down and sits down honestly, sincerely, and says, we won't be doing this criminal acts anymore against you. And while we throw in something else while we're at it, let's throw in, bring the troops home, no more invading foreign countries and murdering those people. Under any circumstances. Period. Bring the troops home or else. We're going to keep protesting until you do. And we're going to take necessary actions to see that our protests are heard and our demands are met. That's what you do when you have a crisis like this. I read that there's over 1,000 people a year get murdered in America by cops. Seriously. Over 1,000 a year. That's how many times? That's like over 3. Math. Do the math. Something like 3 a day? 3 people a day get murdered by cops in America. What kind of country is this? What kind of people put up with that? Now I'm going to say, it's possible that some of those people were not murdered by cops. They were, shot or killed in the line of self-defense of a policeman who was, doing his job and doing it properly. It's debatable. If you're arresting a prostitute, you're a criminal. If you're setting up a sting operation, which is another word for entrapment, you're a criminal, because entrapment is against the law in America. You look it up. Don't take my word for it. Entrapment was outlawed back in the 50s. Yeah. So at any rate, if it's not written down in the book somewhere, like I think it is, but if it's not, because I remember a Supreme Court ruling that says no more entrapment in America. That's why we have the the reading of the Miranda rights to everybody that's arrested. So you can't be entrapped. If you're entrapping people, drugs, prostitution. Prostitution is a legal profession, but it's not a crime. There might be a law, but it's not a crime. Laws don't make something a crime. And there are other things. We need to stand up and stand firm and tell these people, these animals in government, these criminals, these traitors, no more. And now's the time, because we've got their attention. Stand up. Put your foot down, not on someone's neck, up their butt if they don't listen. Listen. No more. Stop it. Stop it now. Or else. And when I say or else, by whatever means necessary, stop murdering us. Stop stealing our money. By the way, IRS, there's no law making the average American liable for the income tax, because the income tax is initiated and has always been applied to corporations. That's showing itself. If you want to learn more about the illegal misapplication of the income tax on American citizens, read Dave Champion's book, Income Tax: Shattering the Myths. It's a very good book. It's 425 pages, but it's worth it. If you don't have it, buy it. If you don't want to buy it, find someone with a copy and borrow it. Read the book. He explains it all. It's all very well documented. There is no question here. And if you want to take a quick trip in fun, ask an IRS agent to show you the law making you liable. He can't. He won't. And he'll hang up on you. I know this for a fact, because I called him 3 times at one point, and, got called a troublemaker, and he hung up, instead of actually answering the question and showing me the law. I can't do that, because there ain't no law. Well, that's because there ain't. So, as far as this rioting and violence and stuff, yeah, that should stop, and those responsible should be held accountable. No problem. Now I hear that these criminals and instigators are infiltrating the protests and doing bad things and violence and burning things and stuff, and they're guilty. So we should keep these people separate from us, the good, decent human beings in this country. All right? So I'm going to wrap it up. Had my say on that. You had a choice to wrap it up about this draft thing. It's illegal, and you didn't have to go. I didn't go. Nothing happened to me, because I'm a decent human being, and I told the government I'm not breaking the law, and I'm not going to murder people. It's not going to happen. You mean you won't kill for your freedom, your country? Yeah. Namely, not me, and not them. Maybe you, Mr. Draft Board asshole redneck piece of shit. They didn't come. They didn't show up. I win, because I was right. And everybody that went should have said the same thing. They should have said, this is wrong, I'm not doing it. And the military law says you don't have to obey an illegal law. And telling you to go to Vietnam was an illegal law, an illegal order. And if you obeyed it, you became a part of that crime. And that's where it comes down to. You did it, you're guilty. I'm sorry. sorry if it messes with your brain. I'm sorry it makes you feel bad. I'm sorry if it makes you ashamed enough that you want to hurt me. But that's the truth. All right, gonna wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Tune in for the next episode coming up soon. And I'm D. McClung, Archer Monologues.